You know, when the younger son comes home, the father talks about 4 images. First one is he asks for a calf, a fattened calf, and that meant that it wasn't just the family that he was reconciled with, but it was the whole community. He also said, bring the best robe. That would have been the father's robe, and he wants to put it on his younger son. And then he says, let's put sandals on his feet. That would delineate him from a slave, because only a slave would have bare feet, only a son would have sandals. But he also says something really interesting to me. He says, bring the ring. Bring the ring. The ring would empower him in the family business to commit it. He would now have the resources of the father. You know, there's a ring tradition in my family. When my grandfather was 16 years old, he was sitting beside his grandfather's deathbed with his first cousin. And my great-great-grandfather handed his wedding ring, took it off his finger and handed it to my grandfather, and he said, keep it and pass it on to future generations. Well, when I bought our family farm that was homesteaded from the government by my great-great-great-grandfather, from my grandfather, Grandpa Russell, he took this ring off and he gave it to me and he said, keep it and pass it on to future generations. And I looked at that rose gold and the black onyx and the English K set in the onyx, and I realized something. I realized it had been worn and dinged and damaged. And Grandpa Russell said something else to me. He said, restore it. Restore it to its authentic condition. And I did. I did. I had it restored to what it would have been like when it was first put on my great-great-grandfather's finger. But when you talk about and think about stories of loss, it's kind of interesting. Right before I had it restored, I decided I'd just wear it a little bit before I had it restored. The jeweler didn't have the time yet to restore it. And I went out and I appraised a 1970 Plymouth Hemi Superbird. And man, that thing was fast. And the owner decided to take me out on the highway and break the speed limit pretty good, about double. And he brought me back up to my office, and I got in and I went about my day. I finished his appraisal, went about my day, took all my phone calls, and I realized something at the end of the day. The onyx and the English K and the setting of my ring were gone. And so I started looking all over my office. I traced all my steps within my office that day, and I couldn't find the setting. And so I just half-heartedly said to my assistant, hey, you might want to call the guy I appraised the Plymouth Hemi Superbird for, because maybe it fell out in his car, but I doubt it. And then I began to pray that maybe that's where it was. Well, I didn't think much of it the next day or two about, as I was looking at my house and in my car where it might be, I didn't think much about that owner of the Plymouth Hemi Superbird having the setting to my ring. But one day I got this envelope on my desk, and I opened it up. It had personal handwriting on the front, and inside was the setting to this ring and a note. And it said, I knew a Plymouth Hemi Superbird was powerful, but I never knew it could shake the setting out of a ring. I tell you what, that ring is circular and it's made of gold. And that's a picture of God's love for us. It's eternal, like a circle, meaning it's never ending. And it's abundant. It has abundant value, such as the precious metal that's made to form it. And we have 2 ways to live life. Either inside God's circle of intimacy and love, or outside His circle of love in idolatry. Either intimacy inside the circle, or idolatry outside the circle. Intimacy is the connection of our innermost beings with His. It's a relationship, and it's what He desires for us. And when we live there, He equips us with this power to commit the resources of His kingdom. We can actually be carriers of restoration to other people. And that's the heart of the Father. That's the heart of the restorer, who not only welcomes sinners, but He runs and He chases them down and restores them to authenticity.